friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lindsay Thurston and I'm here to help you achieve your design dreams on a budget. In today's video, we're gonna kick off spring cleaning by clearing that clutter. I'm sharing 10 things you can donate today. Let's get into it. Are you doing all of the right things with your interior design but still don't feel like your space is coming together? I've been there so many times and often it's clutter that holds us back. Unless you have a ton of extra storage space, clutter finds a way of infiltrating our living spaces. Think about it. If you accumulate even a moderate amount of new items, even semi-regularly, over the course of a year, what was once your carefully curated design can be muddied by clutter. But here's the big secret. We have the power to change that. Often it's open space that we find most attractive in designer rooms. They always find a way to give the eye a place to rest, creating a calming and comfortable living space. If you're watching this video, you likely have done a fair amount of decluttering across your home, but what you might think of as clutter might be missing the mark. This list is a jumping off point for you to start lightening the load and create a little bit more open space to truly showcase the items that inspire you most. As always, these are my opinions, so don't forget to share yours in the comments down below. First up, those shedding shag area rugs. I actually happen to own one of these and I'm teetering on the edge of should I keep it and should I let it go. It did shed a lot when I first bought it. Mine's from the Project 62 line at Target. It was a great deal. It's a 5x7 area rug, and if you've been here a while, you might remember it was part of my office makeover in our rental home. Now that we're in our new home, I'm sourcing some new area rugs, searching for the perfect vintage area rugs to really add character and history into our space. And now this sort of shedding, graying, dirt catching, dog hair collecting shag rug feels a little dated. But actually, while I was flipping through my current super inspiration, Athena Calderon's book, Live Beautiful, I did find some similar rugs. So now I'm kind of like, do I love it? Do I not? But honestly, I think I need to go with my gut here. I gotta admit, when I look at Athena Calderon's spaces, the ones that feature these shag rugs don't make my top 10. So I'm thinking it might be worth letting this one go and finding something that's a little lower pile, and never know, maybe I can find one inside the thrift store. Also need to think about donating uninspiring art pieces. There's so much amazing art to be sourced out in the world, from your local art shows to Etsy to vintage finds, thrifted pieces. Oh my gosh, the opportunities for finding inspiring art are endless. So why hang on to these pieces that don't really have meaning for you? I know I've been a little critical of word art around here. Some of you love it, some of you are with me on that, want to see it go. Regardless, if you are using word art in your space, make sure it's something that's meaningful for you. And another idea is maybe cut down on the number of word art pieces so that when you do use it, it actually has more power and it draws the attention that you want in your space. Another thing to think about is art that you came upon somehow. Maybe it was gifted to you, or maybe you got it out of convenience. Maybe someone was getting rid of it and you took it. If it doesn't quite fit your design style and your aesthetic, why are you keeping it around? And sometimes just the simple act of sourcing a new piece of art can totally transform your space and make all of your other items feel fresh and new again. Next up, you gotta think about maybe donating those outdated light fixtures. Light fixtures are one of the easiest ways to completely transform your space, and it's a great way to think about how you could mix design styles. A lot of my favorite interior designers, Amber Lewis, Athena Calderon, Shay McGee, they're all famous for mixing design styles, and I love to do that in my home too. I really like to create this dichotomy of modern pieces and vintage pieces with some history and highlight the contrast between the old and new in my space. Sometimes that can be a little tricky, especially if you feel a little bit fenced in by the style of your home. I had a viewer recently mention her Tuscan style tile floors, wanting to design around that, maybe out of the Tuscan style. You don't have to let those things dictate what you're going to do. Maybe you focus on a color palette that takes advantage of that and modernizes it through some new touches that fit your current design style. Light fixtures are a super easy way to do this. If you have a really traditional traditional space or a mid-century space, you can choose a light fixture in a different design style. For example, if you have a really traditional home, you could install a really modern light fixture, and now you've got this great play between old and new. And vice versa, if you live in a brand new build, maybe you source a beautiful vintage chandelier of some sort and install that in your dining room. Now you're adding character to what might be seen as a big white box. So as far as those old, outdated light fixtures go, be rid of them, let them go to a new home, and find something that really, really inspires you. Next up, curtains that are too short. I find that a lot of people in their haste when they're moving into a new space are choosing window treatments too quickly and not ensuring that they're the correct length or width. And because of that, we often don't want to plunk down additional money to replace them later. Instead, try to put something up that's temporary. You could even put up old sheets with some painter's tape in the meantime, and then take your time and source the right window treatments for your space. This might be drapery or sheer or a combination. You might also inquire with your local companies about sourcing some custom blinds or shades of some sort. There's so many options online and in your community. And so I don't want you to feel rushed on that note. If you find that something's too short, maybe from your previous home to your new home, it might be time to donate those and let them go. And remember, one of the easiest ways to make a small space feel bigger is by getting thick drapery, hanging it as high to the ceiling as you can, as low to the floor as you can, just skimming the floor. That's gonna create an architectural sort of an element that draws your eye up, even if you don't have a lot of real architectural elements in your space. Next up, it's time to donate those worn out kitchen utensils. You know what I'm talking about, the ones you've had since you were 21 when you first moved into your first place. Maybe they're a little bit singed on the edges, or maybe they've discolored over time. Especially the wooden ones, they really tend to age, and not in a good way. So maybe just treat yourself. You can get on Amazon and find a set for super cheap, and I promise you they'll be so much more beautiful when you display them in a utensil crock on your counter or when you pull them out to cook. It's time to donate gifts that hold some sort of guilt for you. Let me explain this a little bit. There's nothing wrong with gifts. Gifts are wonderful, generous, and lovely, but when someone gives you something and you don't know what to do with it, if it's a piece of art or home decor, maybe you put it up out of a sense of guilt for the person who gave it to you. I think it's important to remember that generally speaking, when people give you gifts, they want to make you happy. They're trying to please you. And it's not good to be picky about gifts, but it is kind of good to make sure that you're careful about what you're curating and bringing into your home, especially if you want to have a clean and clear and crisp interior. Removing clutter is the easiest way. It's not easy, but it is the best way to get there. If you feel like your space is cluttered with a lot of guilt gifts, maybe things that you feel like you have to display for some reason, it might be time to start having those conversations, if you feel like you need to have them, with the people that gave them to you. If it's your mom or someone important to you, you might let them know that maybe your style has evolved a little bit and you're gonna retire this particular item, or maybe you just kind of put it away and let it go. You know, over time, people have a tendency to forget what they gave you anyway. Just something to consider. I don't want you to feel like you have to hold on to something if it doesn't fit your style, and if you feel like it's clouding your overall interior design vision. I know for myself, I have done that so many times. I've designed around something I didn't really love, and I couldn't figure out why I didn't really love the space, and it really came down to that piece that just was pulling focus from what I wanted to achieve in my space. Your living space should rise up to meet you when you walk through the door. Your living space should reflect you and your personal tastes and what makes you feel calm and comfortable. And if those guilt gifts aren't doing it, I think it's okay to move on. On the note of window treatments, I'm also going to put in a plug for letting go of those skinny metal mini blinds. I know they're super affordable. We have those little metal mini blinds throughout our entire space. They have a tendency to get bent over time. Sometimes the little pieces break. Those little cords can get all knotted up and they can be a little bit of a pain. Personally, for me, they're a little bit, I'm gonna say it, cheap looking. I know that getting custom blinds or shutters or something else for a window treatment is a little bit of a cost to bear as a homeowner, but I would argue that that is an investment that is going to make you happy over the long term. Think about all the things that you spend your money on when designing a new home. It can be a lot, and and sometimes we tend to buy things that maybe we don't really need. And this is something that you will put a little bit of money into, maybe save up for a few months. Once you plunk that money into custom blinds, I'm telling you, your space will feel like home. You might be wondering why I'm bringing up this next one in the realm of interior design, but trust me, these things can be eyesores. It's time to donate your outdated technology. If you have a lot of excess technology hanging around your home, or if it's not functioning properly, if you're not using it, it's probably time to let it go. This goes for excess amounts of computer equipment that's collecting dust. Maybe you used to use it, you feel like you're supposed to hang on to it just in case. If you're not currently using it, it's just cluttering up your living space. It's time to let those things go. If you feel like it's a piece of technology that could bring in some cash, you might want to consider selling it on a secondhand site like Craigslist or OfferUp. That can be a great way to recoup a little bit of the money. eBay is also a great place to sell old technology, and then you can put some money into something that works a little bit better for you. I find a lot of outdated technology to be pretty bulky. If you think about big computer towers or extra large speakers, a lot of modern technology is able to put out the same quality of sound or viewing at a smaller scale, and it's easier to place those things. You can also try to source technology that's an unobtrusive color. Maybe it comes in white or a gray or a beige tone that will kind of recede into the background of your space rather than grabbing attention. And of course, you know, if you're using it and it brings you a lot of joy, there's no reason to donate it. I'm purely talking about that technology that you know has been sitting around for too long and needs to go. This might just be a Lindsay problem, but maybe it's a you problem. Extra coffee mugs. I am crazy for coffee mugs, and can always generally find an excuse to buy another one. I also get a fair amount of them as gifts, being a teacher, and I also have a little penchant for collecting those little Starbucks "You Were Here" mugs when I travel. I really love that little reminder of all my trips when I'm drinking my morning coffee and have to go to work and don't know when my next trip's gonna be. But I must say, my mug collection is taking over the cabinets in the kitchen. It's gotten to a place where Travis has a set of mugs that he loves, and he has like 4 or 5 or maybe 6 of them, and they take up a little tiny chunk of the coffee mug cabinet, and then I have an entire shelf and a little spillover that's all of my mugs, and I even have a box of extra mugs in the garage. I'm not kidding. So if you're like me and you have way too many coffee mugs, I think we can all take a great lesson from my mama. If you didn't know, my mother was an interior designer for many years and taught me so much of what I know about designing spaces and envisioning what a place can look like with some small and big changes. One thing that she did when she moved from her last house into her current house is they went through all of their coffee mugs. They pulled out only the ones that were in their color scheme of their home, which is some sort of grays and blues and beiges and whites. They really focused on blues in the kitchen. They kind of let go a lot of the excess as they sourced new mugs to round out their collection. They made sure to always choose, although they're all different mugs, they made sure to always choose ones in that color story. So that's a great way if you want to kind of cull down your collection, create some sort of rule for yourself. Like my mom created this rule of blue and white kind of mugs only, and then you can make sure that they all go together. You're keeping your favorites, but maybe you're lightening the load a little bit. There's nothing better than having a little extra room in the kitchen cabinet. Oh, and if you're hiding Ray Dunn mugs, ooh, you might want to rethink those too. Last thing that you should definitely consider donating: furniture that doesn't fit your space. When we move into a new home, Travis and I just moved into our first home, you will quickly find that some of the furniture pieces that you sourced from your last home might not exactly fit properly in your new home. I know this is really hard, especially if there's a piece that you like and you don't want to part with, but if you truly can't find a spot in your home where it fits and functions and looks great and makes you feel inspired, then it might be time to sell it or donate it. You can always comb the OfferUp world, the Kijiji world if you're in Canada, the Craigslist world, the eBay world, Cherish. There's so many other higher end retailers, local antique stores. There's so many great places to find affordable furniture that will fit your space and will do what you need it to do. If you have garage or storage space, you might consider holding on to furniture that doesn't fit your current current space if you ever plan to move. But if you know, like we do, that you're not gonna be leaving anytime soon, if you've bought your first home and you know that you're gonna be there for the long term, then it might be time to start letting some things go and source things that truly highlight your home. Now that we've gone over 10 things you can donate, go ahead, round these things up, and while you're at it, I bet you're gonna come up with a bunch more categories of items that you can think of, that you can pull a few things out and let them go, lighten your load, and give your space a refreshed feeling. It's the best. I always feel best when I'm driving away from the thrift store, when I've done a big donation, and it always feels like I've really made an achievement towards my design goals. Yay! Often the biggest obstacle in achieving our design dreams is clearing the clutter that hinders the message of the space. Creating open space by letting go allows us to put more emphasis on the things that truly represent our design styles and tell the story of us. If you liked this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. As always, these are my opinions, so don't forget to share yours in the comments down below. Subscribe for more interior design and home decor tips, and ring the bell so you know when I upload. I'm hoping to get that bathroom makeover finished before next week's video, but if I don't, you know I have tons more ideas at the ready. Until then, you might enjoy watching my thrift shopping tips video. In that video, I share a lot of tips for what to look for when you're sourcing things secondhand. I'll also link my video on outdated decor trends down there, just in case you want to have a laugh with me at some of the styles I'm sick of. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye, my friends.